Hello, it's Tuesday and I am back at work. Let me turn on the chat here. Leave comments so I'll know that the chat is working. We had a fun and a quiet weekend. It was a 3-day weekend in the United States. We celebrate Labor Day, the first Monday in September. So today is the end of a long weekend. I got to see my grandkids, which was really fun. And I haven't seen them since spring, so it was great. And I didn't do any quilting at all, not a stitch over the weekend. So your newsletter is not out. I'm not ready. And it'll come out in a couple days. Hi, Janet. Thanks for letting me know the comments are working. It is September, and September 1st, I am ready. I'm not a pumpkin spice girl, but I am ready for sweaters, boots, bonfires, quilts, hot apple cider, donuts, all the comforts of autumn, except we're having a heat advisory today. So, as my husband and I were traveling this weekend, I was saying, well, we could still have one more good heat snap. And he was like, it's not like it's going to hit 100 or anything. We're rather hot today, but I'm very comfortable in my sewing room and look forward to doing some more quilting to hide from the hot weather. But soon, boots, sweaters, scarves, woolly blankets, fires, hot chocolate, all the favorite things of fall. Hillary, yes, it is too hot here. You're nearby, Our heat index is 95 to 100 today, but I don't think we're actually that hot. Oh, Elizabeth, yes, you do. That's right near you. Stay indoors, lock the doors. And your kids don't get to go to school either in your area. Hi, Carol. I'm glad you're here. Molly, welcome. You should be done with your heat tomorrow, Krista. That's good. I don't know when ours is because I refuse to look. So Elizabeth in Pennsylvania, there's an escaped convict that they've actually closed schools in the area. And anything that says Pennsylvania, I always read carefully because I have a lot of family in Pennsylvania. I'm from there. And they've actually closed schools to keep kids indoors. Weird situation. We haven't had that sort of thing here, but we're on interstate. And so we have had the helicopters flying over for other things. But stay indoors, stay safe, and hopefully this will all end soon. Seems like you should be quilting, Elizabeth. So I have a bunch of things to talk to you about, and I'm behind on a few things, but that's okay. Longwood Gardens closed also. Wow. Yeah, it's a dangerous criminal. I believe it's a murderer from outside of the country or something who was in the country and jailed and escaped. I didn't read all of it because but that's as much as I got. Crazy times. This is why we stay indoors and quilt and keep rotary cutters nearby. Speaking of rotary cutters, I was pretty excited. I cut the side of my finger off a couple weeks ago, and I was able to get back to knitting, some knitting this weekend, which was nice. He stabbed his wife 30 times. Think he was angry? I think he was disturbed. Like something wrong with that man, because nothing anyone could do could make them deserve that at all. Terrible world. It's kind of a scary place sometimes. I have been home for 3.5 years, mostly home, compared to traveling 200 days a year. So I feel kind of separate from a lot of the stuff in the world because I live in a remote area as well. But I read the news and it just seems so weird, and so the reason why we quilt. So some of the things, you got a newsletter, I think, last Thursday. Let me pull up some photos here. Where did it go? I had them preloaded and then it died. Okay, here it is. And let me share it with you. Window, there we go. So these are the piggies that are behind me. It's called Wee Wee Wee. And what was really cute this weekend, I was playing with my granddaughter and I was playing with her toes. And I did this little piggy went to market and this little piggy. And she would just stick her foot up in the air at me and go, wee wee, wee wee. So apparently I named the quilt properly. It's Wee 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 is the name of the quilt. This is September's color block quilt. And I have a fun story about a couple stories about this. So the ears, I was having trouble trying to figure out the ears, and I design in grayscale, and I had the ears being up in the air on the other half of that half square triangle. And then when I went into black and white only, where it was just the outline of it, I could see perfectly where the ears belonged. So I was happy with that. Once I pieced the pigs and was getting ready to sew the faces on, I realized I could make this a pig's backside too. So I was considering putting a spiral on one of them to have one of the pigs facing the wrong way. And I hope one of you will do that, finding some sort of a spiral to stitch on here for the pig's curly tail. And then I see a few more things that I can do with this. So this was really fun. I was trying to figure out how big the quilt should be. And then, of course, it could only be 3 pigs because 3 little pigs. The pigs, they have their own rules. So let me come back and say hi. I want someone to make a wrong way pig. I was trying to get this done quickly, and I've been dealing with. I was terribly sick again last week. I've been dealing with an infection that won't go away. I keep getting more antibiotics, so getting all of that done, I just couldn't get the tail done. But I'm sure someone will do that, and if not, I will. I also sewed those buttons on with my sewing machine, and I pulled out all the buttons. I did 2 buttons for eyes and 2 buttons for nostrils, and I didn't break a single button, which is a miracle. If anyone sews buttons on with a sewing machine, you know you need to have extra buttons because the needle goes between the holes, and if it hits the button, boom, you're getting a new button. So I had fun with the pigs, and I'm tomorrow night we'll also talk about how to machine quilt that. So those are the pigs, and it's been fun doing the animals and seeing how people respond to the different ones. Uh, I wanted to have a pig here. I could have. I'm not sure if the town would let me have a pig, but my yard, my property would allow it. And I just thought it'd be fun to raise a pig on my scraps, and then I'd probably be too attached to eat it. So it's probably best I don't have a pig. But for the 3.5 years I've been home, I've been reading all of these homesteading websites and all of that. And I can't bend over to tie my shoes, so I really can't do a lot of work outside, as far as gardening and homesteading and stuff. But I want to. Fortunately, I live 2 miles away from an organic farm, and I get all of my food and meat there, and milk and eggs. So it's kind of like homesteading. It's just 2 miles that way, or as the crow flies, probably one. So you can go to DebbieBrownQuilts.com, scroll down and join the Color Blocks 2023 Color Blocks Goes Wild, and the pig pattern is free. All of the patterns are in there are free, and there aren't that many this year, just because I had to take off, I think, 5 months for my COVID pneumonia concerns. So let's see. Well, hello, Mary Nelson. Nielsen, you have a very nice home, and she'll understand why I say that. And Kim, let's see, I missed one. Kimberly Einmo is in the house. Everybody go check out Kimberly Einmo. I'm sure you all already follow her. She is a friend and an amazingly talented designer, and she has a new fabric line of kangaroos coming out that I can't wait to play with. So bug your quilt shops and tell them they all have to order her kangaroo line, because it's adorable. The piglets are adorable. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. That is so sweet. You are one of my happy places on the internet, and you've had quite a year, but I'm glad you seem to be settled in one place. It's Rouville. So ask your quilt shops to order Rouville. And if you want to type in the manufacturer to help out the quilt shops, do that. Everybody check it out online. It's adorable. I've already ordered it. And I can't wait for it to come out. Coming out soon. with Benertex. I should remember that because I already ordered it. So yes, definitely check. Have your quilt shop or call their Benertex rep and order Rouville fabric. It's adorable, and I think Kimberly has a free pattern online right now. That is Roo Fly. You named it something kangaroo fly, Roo Fly. So definitely follow her online and check out all the cool stuff she has. She's one of the amazing people, one of the top people in the quilt industry, my happy place online. So that is one quilt that is this wee quilt is a color block quilt. This year we've done animals, and we have cat, and we have ladybugs, and we have this. Is that everything? I think there's one more. Cats, ladybugs. Anyway, there are more. Kimberly's pattern is named Rushu. Thank you. And hello in Shahola, Pennsylvania. I think you're closer to that criminal. But stay safe where you are there, Joan. And Molly, thank you, fish. How did I forget the fish? That was a really fun one. I was, I had, someone was, you know, when you talk to someone, you're like, oh, I need to make them a quilt. And I was talking to someone, I'm like, oh, I need to make them a quilt. I'll have to look up a fish pattern. And I'm like, I just designed a fish pattern. My brain has my two brain cells fight for dominance, and then they both lose, is what happens. And my poor husband has to figure out what I'm trying to talk about when I can only come out with one word in four. Does anybody else know what I'm talking about? That's kind of how it goes here. So free class online. Check it out. Let's see what else came out this week, because we had a first of the month, which brings out new things as well. So those are our pigs. And remember, all of the color blocks are based on a 16 patch. So go through your scraps, cut everything into 2.5 inches, and start stitching up some color blocks. And I'll give you lots of good ideas of what to do with your sanity sewing for when you have days like mine, when you're not smart enough to do things that are hard. Make these color blocks and all the patterns. Do you notice that there are no corners that have to match anywhere? I work really hard on that because this is sewing for days when I'm not so smart. On Friday, the first of the month, I put out a new video on YouTube on how to machine quilt one of my cutie patterns. This quilt is called Bowl of Cherries. Now, I designed cutie patterns with a friend of mine who owns the company, and what they are is 16 fat eighths. So this quilt is made with a pack of 16 fat eighths. I used Apple Gala fabric. I think it was from Canvas Studio, and these pieces here are from the 16 fat eighths, and we call those cutie packs. I sell cutie packs, but you can also take a fat quarter pack and cut it in half. Then you have a cutie pack. Also, some manufacturers pack fat eighths as well. Then the black is on top of that. So you have a cutie pack, which is 16 fat eighths, 2 yards of fabric. You have some black for the contrast, and then you have a border. So I pieced this quilt so fast, maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours to cut and piece it. These go to get, the ones I design are simple. The one my friend designs, she does a little more complex, but she's smarter than I am and very talented. I like to quilt. I like to design quilts the way I like to piece them, which is simply. So I was piecing this and I love the plaids, making this quilt. I'm like, it's sweater weather. And then I put the apples on the outside. I'm like, must be done. So here is the outer border, and the video on YouTube at Debbie Brown Quilts is my YouTube channel. I go through and show you how to put this leaf in with minimal marking and using the size of the marking to help you figure out where to put that, and then to put each leaf and how to size them. I also show you how to do a few knots, and a little trick. I start right here. I do a leaf in here, a leaf in here, go down. I hope you can see my cursor. Otherwise, I'm saying here and here, and you won't know. Do some ribbon candy with a stencil, and then put my leaves down there. So I think it kind of makes like a dog bone or a dumbbell there. and I can make one knot for each block, and then I move over to the next one and the next one and the next one. So go to my YouTube channel at Debbie Brown Quilts, and you'll see I have some cutie quilts on and how to quilt them. Let me come back and say hello to you. Let's see. Linda, you're looking for animal patterns. So go to debbiebrownquilts.com. Click on my online classes button. I put out all of my material as online classes, and that actually makes it easier for if they're paid classes for overseas taxes, is why everything goes in a class for me. I don't sell downloadable patterns. So these are free. Join Color Blocks Goes Wild. It's a free pattern from 2023, and you will get the animals for this year so far are cat, ladybug, fish, and pigs. I had to take off several months with a COVID hospitalization and stuff, but I'm back. Hopefully that helped. Oh, hello in hot Missouri. I think we're having that. If while you're there, also join the Color Blocks 2022 and Color Blocks 2021. As of September 10th, Color Blocks 2021 will no longer be free. As long as you join it before then, it's yours free forever. Each class, 2021 and 2022, have at least 12 scrap quilting patterns, all based on that 16 patch, and 12 videos of how to machine quilt them. What's been fun about this is I started during the pandemic just for stress release. I wanted to sew something because I wasn't smart enough to do anything hard. So I just started sewing squares together and made 16 patches. And I'm like, what can I do with a 16 patch? And that's how this all started. And then I shared this free online. And people joined by the thousands to get free scrap quilting patterns. And then I trick them into learning how to machine quilt, because that's my passion, is I teach machine quilting along with the patterns. And what's funny now is people will see the quilts, go, ooh, I have to make that quilt because I want to practice that quilting. So I'm now enticing people with the machine quilting and tricking them into scrap quilting. I use my powers for good and not evil. It's been a blast. I have 2021, 2022, 2023. I have Tis the Season, which is Christmas themed quilts. That is a paid class. And 3 of them don't have to be Christmas, depending on how you play with the colors. One of the quilts is called Hit the Slopes or something, but it's sweater weather. It's an ugly Christmas sweater, but you could color it otherwise. So I think I need to make a fall sweater for sweater weather. And if you haven't watched Saturday Night Live in the United States and haven't seen the sweater weather skit, you're wondering why I'm saying it like that. It's sweater weather. I also have a Make Quilts While the Sun Shine, which is a theme of summer themed quilts. And I have more coming for next year. I'm committed through I should be. I'm committed through 2024 with another year worth. And I have some other specialty classes coming for the color blocks as well. And next year I will do a mixed bag. There'll be some animals and some regular quilts, because I'm not sure I have another year worth of quilts, but I do have a lot of animals set aside, and people seem to be enjoying them. So it's a win-win. Let's go back and see what else is new. So that is my Bowl of Cherries quilt, which is the name of the pattern, which I made with apples just to make it confusing. And what is not out yet is another part, lesson 2 of an upcoming class on walking foot spiral. The folks who have joined my As the Bobbin Turns, it's my subscription, also in a class. You get to peek over my shoulder while I'm quilting, and I give little tips and tidbits of what I'm working on. You get classes I'm developing in real time. You get any quilt I'm quilting, you'll just peek over my shoulder and I'll give you, oh, here's how I chose that foot, or here's knots or threads or just whatever I'm doing while I'm quilting it. So that'll be out. You can see that variation. Let me come back and say hi to you. How do you know if you're signed up for the color clubs each year? You do have to sign up separately each year, but if you go to log into one, it should let you know what other classes you have. It should tell you what classes are on your dashboard, and it should have each one. If not, Bev, just email me and I'll check it out for you to make sure you can get in and get all of your classes, okay? Um, those are things I do in between quilting. Just I'm not always as fast as I want to be with email because I am also the designer, the quilter, the writer, the graphic designer, the shipping department, my secretary, all of that stuff. So I do try to get through it. So we'll make sure you get into them all. Now, I am going to have to take off a little time in September, so I decided I was going to do some filming ahead of time, which has now turned into a four-part, what hopefully will be a four-part series. And I'm going to launch it in 2 weeks on the 20th. Is that 2 weeks? Yeah, on the 20th. And it's a fat quarter. I'm sorry. It's a charm square quilt. And it's kind of like column A, column B, column C. Pick a design from each column and mix it up onto your quilt. So I will have the pattern out as a free pattern, and that I will tell you how to get that in your newsletter. So you'll get that. And right now I'm working with stencils, ruler quilting, and background quilting. So let me just show you the quilt that we're going to talk about. Now, I will not be doing other things online while I'm away. I have some family stuff going on that I've known was coming. So I'm going to have this video go live on Wednesday nights in Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Studio and on YouTube. So let me show you the quilt. There it is. It's funny, my mail carrier liked this quilt because she was there while I was in the driveway photographing it. So it's a very simple two packs of charm squares, and maybe 2¼ yards of fabric and binding. So I show you how to do a focus design in the long strip, how to do some ruler work in the color block, and then how to do some background quilting if this isn't enough quilting for you. So that will be what's coming up. Let me come back to you. Does that work for you? Do you think you want to play along with that? So by the end, I hope you will have at least 4 ways to do the strip, 4 ways to do the blocks, and 4 ways to do the background, and you can just mix and match them any way you want. What I really try to do is come up with ways to fill your toolbox so that when you look at a quilt, you have a couple, oh, I know what I can do here ideas. And I just try to put them together in some fun ways. Linda, okay, you found what you were looking for. You'll follow along for the rest of the year. Thank you. Be sure to go back for 2022 and 2021. It's just all free packages ready to go. It's easy, but the quilt is easy, and it can be stunning with the colors. And who doesn't love playing with just a little bit of fabric, something that goes together very quickly? So again, you'll get your newsletter probably tomorrow, and I'll have that all put together for you with how to get it. And I might have a charm square sale coming up as well. I have to do some computer work for that. So that is what I'll be doing. The pattern will be out, and I'll talk about this again more tomorrow. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, 7 o'clock on YouTube and Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Studio. I have a Wednesday night at 7 o'clock New York time video every week. And since I knew I was going to be gone, I'm going to put these out. And I'm just going to even though I'm going to be at home for some of it, I'll just continue it and do it a 4-part series. And then if there's a part 5, part 6, I may save those for other times when I know I'm going to be out. Don't know when that is yet, but it could happen. Like if I go to a quilt show or go on vacation or something like that. Oh, Linda, I'm glad you have 21 and 22. So you are caught up. Good. Good. I like to make sure people can take advantage of the free stuff because I'm on your side. I'm a quilter. Let me show you what else I have going on. So I have some quilt kits. These are the videos, the Cutie Quilt videos that I have out online, and I have some of the fabric. So I put together the quilt kit that goes with the Jack Star pattern. It's normally $72.50. It's on sale for $60. You can get that on my website. Also, the Bowl of Cherries cutie pattern, the Apple Gala fabrics, that's a $50 kit. So check those out online. That comes with the pattern, and it comes with all of the fabric for the top and for the binding. Again, these piece very quickly, and I do have machine quilting instructions or suggestions, or you can just send these to your long arm quilter as well. So you don't have to quilt them yourself. They're just some ideas. So that's what I have for you this week. I am going to go do a little more filming, a little more editing, a little more writing, and hide in my air conditioned sewing room. Oh, thank you. I had some people get in touch with me from my last newsletter. Somebody gave me ideas for eggplant because I am drowning in green peppers, eggplant, and kale. Now, green peppers, I have a love-hate relationship with them. I love them if they are tender crisp. They hate me if they are raw or cooked. So, and the red and the green peppers are either red and green or purple because this is an heirloom organic farm that we get all of our produce from. So I've been doing a lot with green peppers. But I'm drowning in eggplant. And over the weekend, I made eggplant chips that I thought it would be good to munch on. I put them in the dehydrator, and I was telling a couple people about them. They're like, "Oh, were they good?" I'm like, "Not even remotely. No, not edible." But I think I'm going to try to reconstitute them and make them in moussaka because I do like moussaka, and I think the texture will work in there. But someone gave me an idea for eggplant around meatballs, and I'm also thinking eggplant meatballs. So that's good news. And for the kale, I have kale fritters and soups and all sorts of a kale beef casserole. It's amazing. How would you like your kale for breakfast? But thank you for the eggplant recipes, and thank you for some more reading recommendations as I'm doing a deep dive into the Russian Revolution right now. But I have some eggplant to cook tonight. One of my favorite websites to cook from is called Walks of Life, like the pot walks, um, and it's the walks of life. And just type in eggplant, and they have unagi, and you season eggplant. They do Chinese eggplant. I'm just going to do the ones I have because I'm drowning in eggplant. Like an entire drawer of my fridge is full of eggplant, and you season it like unagi, which is eel. So tonight we're doing unagi, and I have Korean sweet lentils over rice with some stir-fried vegetables. So the rice is already cooking. I'm just going to be stepping back and forth in our heat advisory. Molly, eggplant parmesan. Already have one in the freezer, and already have breaded eggplant ready for eggplant parmesan in the freezer. And I have more eggplant to use. But yes, eggplant parmesan is delicious. I make it as a casserole, like lasagna. I layer the eggplant and the sauce and cheese, and the eggplant and the sauce and cheese. So yeah, I have I have a whole tray of that in the freezer ready to go. And then I bread it up a bunch before it was going to go bad, and I bake it rather than fry it, and it turns out really good. But I just didn't have room for another tray in the freezer, so it's in there just as eggplant. If the moussaka works, however, with dehydrated eggplant, that'll be a great way to store it that won't require too much freezer room. Does anybody else run out of freezer room as the summer harvest is ongoing? I do. I'm making fruit leathers with the apples and peaches and pears because it's a mature orchard, so we get so much fruit. It's a big problem to have. So it's a very yummy time of year. But and I have a separate freezers, but it's always, oh, I should do that. I don't have any room in the freezer. Oh, I should do that. I don't have any room in the freezer. I can't be the only one. So I am going to quilt and write and sew and cook and stay cool. And I hope you are going to have a wonderful rest of your day. I will be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at YouTube and also at Debbie Brown's Machine Quilting Studio and Facebook. I will talk more about the ABC 123 quilt along, which is what that blue quilt is called. We'll talk about how to quilt. Various thoughts on how to quilt my wee quilt. And I'll talk about what I do when I finish a quilt. My machine gets a little spot treatment as soon as I finish machine quilting. My machines are face to face, and I machine quilt on this quilt and I bind on this quilt. So before I get out of this chair and walk around over here to do the binding, I do a little spot treatment to my quilts, to my quilting machine, which is a sewing machine. It's a regular sewing machine, not my not my stationary long arm. But we'll talk about that tomorrow night too. So if I will see you there, and I will also be back again Tuesday at 2:30 New York time and telling you what is new at debbiebrownquilts.com. Thanks for visiting with me. Take care of yourselves.